What's going on, everyone? It's Justin here, and let's unbox and set up the brand new iPhone 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max in natural titanium and the new Desert Titanium model, which I'm really interested to check out and see what it looks like. So this year for the iPhone is more of an incremental update. You have a phone that is built for Apple Intelligence, which doesn't actually roll out for at least a couple months, and that comes with the new processor, new CPU and GPU improvements, as well as a slight bump in battery life. The bezel's being shrunken down a little bit with a small increase in the screen size as well as a new camera control button. But in today's video, we're gonna unbox it, show you what it looks like inside, what the devices look like, give you my initial impressions as to how it compares to the iPhone 15 Pro Max, which I mentioned was probably the most complete iPhone in many years. And after we set it up, I'm gonna use it for a bit before giving you the full review. And if there's any comparisons that you would like to see, make sure you let me know. But as always, if you enjoy the Apple content as soon as it comes out, just go ahead and subscribe to the channel, drop a like on this video, and leave a comment down below if you have any questions or opinions of these devices. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I usually go with a very neutral color, and last year I went with the new natural titanium, and I really liked it. It had a champagne bronze tint to it, to like a silver neutral design. But this year I'm particularly curious about the Desert Titanium, as it just has like a little bit of a color touch to it, but at the same time, I'm also going to be sticking to the larger model of iPhone 16 Pro. So after we take off the tab, of course, we are greeted with the phone first, and it gives you your first impressions of the Desert Titanium. I will say it was hard to tell through video. It looked a little bit bronze in some of the on-site clips, whereas in person, I would say it sits between like a rose gold and a light pink, and the traditional gold that you're used to from Apple. The glass is actually also 50% stronger, and that is thanks to the new technology with that. And so when it comes to the drop resistance, that is also a factor to consider. But there you have it, and on the top here you have the triple camera setup, of course, and along the side you'll notice the first detail, and that is the camera control. It is a touch capacitive slider that also has a bit of a click to it, and so you use it to adjust the camera elements, press it down, and it will take a photo. And so when you're holding your phone in a horizontal mode and capturing the moment, you're able to have a bit more control as someone who does like to switch between all of the cameras. You of course still have your action button on this side, and in terms of the physical hardware, the iPhone is ever so slightly thicker as well as taller and wider than the previous generation, to the point that you don't really notice it. And let's just bring in the iPhone 15 Pro Max here for comparison, and yeah, you could see the bezel is slightly thinner. It is noticeable, and that is always a very welcome change. On top of that, everything else pretty much looks the same from the front, but yeah, the device is a tiny bit taller. So as I line it up like this, you'll see that it is ever so slightly larger. And in terms of weight, still pretty similar. I believe it is a tiny bit heavier, but yeah, here's a look if you're wondering what the natural titanium looks like next to the Desert Titanium. And when it comes to some of the other spec improvements, of course you do have the new Apple chip, which is the A18. It is a 6-core CPU as well as a 6-core GPU, has 8 gigabytes of RAM, and it is really optimized for AI, which we'll have the chance to really test out in a couple months. Apple AI is built in, and so having the additional power as well as battery life just allows it to be on standby. So whenever you need the information or the generative images on demand, you can count on the device to be able to handle that, because from a power standpoint, these top-end iPhones were already faster than what I needed for the most part before. So that is a look at the Desert Titanium iPhone 16 Pro Max, which is going to be my daily phone. On the other hand, let's go ahead and unbox the iPhone 16 Pro here in natural titanium. And so I'm just gonna rip off the plastic, the paper. Slide it open for you guys, and there you have it. And honestly, even though I really like the Desert Titanium, I think natural titanium is just like my natural neutral preference. And once again, it looks beautiful. There's just a quick look at it. Of course, there's the camera control, and you can see in this one a little bit more clearly that it is a shiny button because it is touch capacitive. And so inside the box, you do have your USB Type-C charging cable, which is braided. It is packaged a little bit different this year. You don't have the Apple stickers, which honestly I had so many of them that I have completely forgotten about that. But yeah, that is what you have in the box. So now that we have the phones unboxed, let's summarize some of the different details and changes to this year's generation. So when it comes to the cameras, you have a 48 megapixel ultra-wide camera now, which should bring some noticeable improvements when it comes to image quality, especially in more dim scenarios. And now on both phones, you have a 12 megapixel 5x telephoto. And so I'm curious to see what the improvements are exactly when it comes to photo, video recording, fusion camera technologies, and just like the software and hardware tweaks that have been made in this latest generation of flagship phone, on top of the video capabilities, which includes being able to record at 4K 120. On top of that, there's also the auto recording features that utilizes the spatial data to be able to narrow in and eliminate the background surroundings. And so these are all features that I'm definitely curious to test out as someone who utilizes their iPhone a ton to capture content around the world. When it comes to the charging, there's also a bump there. 25 watts on MagSafe, and wired charging is up to 45 watts compared to 30 before. And so I'm gonna go ahead and test these phones out. I'm gonna let you know what I think, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to go ahead and drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next one.